see. We'll kick this off. I don't know how many people are watching. We do see a little bubble that pops up. And so if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. Boom, there we go. Ask questions, say hello in the comments if you're out there listening. If you're just getting on. Today we got Linda Janes, the director of gBeta, Anchorage, and Megan Militello, founder of Elevated Oats. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much again for setting this up, Graham.
What's that?
Thank you very much for setting this up again. You've been doing an amazing job, and I honestly love like software that you're using. This whole thing, you've got it dialed in. It's nice.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, so like we're talking about startups. This is what we're leading up to. What's coming up here next month, Linda?
We are leading up to the third cohort of gBeta Anchorage. Super excited. Megan was actually in our inaugural cohort. Super cool. Last spring. So this is our next spring cohort kicking off. We'll be kicking off February 17th, and the application deadline is February 4th. And we do have a super nice thing that's like we're just thankful and lucky that this is the case this time around. We have a full-time mentor that's joining us. His name is Mark Lambert. He's a successful entrepreneur as well as startup investor. So he'll be actually joining teams in our one-on-one meetings every week, which is something that's incredible. So don't miss out on Mark. I think this is going to be amazing, and apply. I'll put in some links later on as well.
Awesome. Right on. Well, like since we're talking about startups and startups solving the right problem, we've got the Angel Conference coming up, right? We're talking about growing companies, growth, explosion. So what's happening where I think like people don't think necessarily about manufacturing or food production as a startup concept, right? We were talking earlier about what was the pita chip company that you referred to?
Stacy's Pita.
Yeah, Stacy's Pita.
They grew. They they were in Trader Joe's. They got sold and very successful, very startup like, very just. It's on How I Built This podcast, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, How I Built This is awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite episode on there?
Oh my gosh. Don't ask me what my favorite is. Anything. I cannot make up my mind. There's so many great things. It's like saying, what's my favorite gBeta company? I don't know. I love them all.
Yeah.
Don't put me on the spot, Graham.
Oh man.
No.
Do you listen to
me, I don't listen to it very often. And the last one that I listened to was Bob's Red Mill. And I mean, it's an oatmeal company, right? So I listened to Bob's Red Mill, and we're actually going to this Natural Products Expo in March in Anaheim. And that was like in his podcast. He's like, yeah, we went to this expo, and that's really where we got our name out there. So it just makes me more excited for this upcoming event that we have.
Oh my gosh, that's super cool, Megan. I want to hear a follow-up on that and how, if it lived up to Bob's name, the reputation.
I'm very curious. Yes, yeah. I'm looking forward. I mean, this is a huge show. There's like 10 halls. There's like 60,000 attendees, and it's business to business only. And that's like with COVID numbers they're talking.
Yeah.
Just very,
that's
it's going to be very interesting.
That is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah. I think my favorite episode was Airbnb. They talk about Airbnb, like funding that out of personal credit cards. They had so many credit cards to start that company up that they had a binder, like a CD binder, or like it was like a baseball card binder with they had that many credit cards. They tell the story on there, but it's really interesting because like when we think about business, and even startups are small businesses. So every business starts at like, I'm a small business. I'm starting here. And like even Airbnb, they didn't really have this model that they thought was just going to explode. They were actually only just trying to pay their next month's rent is actually why they started. So like going from, we just got to raise like $3,000 to, holy crap, this is a business model and it's viable and it's something people want. Like when did you realize, Megan, when did you realize that you had a problem to solve?
Oh, I was in Hawaii and I was an air traffic controller. I had kind of started changing my life. I didn't really want to work for the government anymore. I wanted to help people eat better food. And I just kind of launched into a whole new life with an abrupt relationship change. I'm moving to Alaska, and it was like, here in Alaska, there were no granola manufacturing businesses. I was already like selling salads and making granola like as a snack to sell. But up here, salads, I was like, this is just not going to work as well compared to living in Hawaii, going to the farmer's market twice a week. So then it was like, well, the granola is a great idea. And I just never took a breath like after that. It was like not even a thought. It was just, I think it was all a distraction for me. I was just like, oh, I'm going to do all of this stuff to not think about my problems.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be like the first time I focused on helping other people and myself instead of necessarily like getting so consumed into one relationship, one romantic relationship, and putting all of my energy towards that.
Yeah.
This was the first time it's like, okay, well, this is not about one person. This is about a lot of people. Like if I can spread this message to way more people, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. I love it because I remember, I think it was you and Lacey that we were talking about like the amount of soda that gets pushed on. Like you go out to eat and people are like, do you want something to drink? And they almost look down at you for ordering water.
It was so strange. I did not grow up drinking water. I grew up where soda was the primary thing.
Yeah. And so like this, like what you said earlier about we started it to help people have a better relationship with food. And what you just said right there is awesome. Like I realize it's not about me or a couple people. It's about, we've got to spread this message and give people it's about healthier options. That's awesome.
And that's the thing too. You have like a big, all these big companies that are just not, they don't care about that. Just like the recyclable packaging or compostable, like we would love to do that. The technology is not quite there yet for us to be able to do it being such a small company. But eventually I think it's just all about trying to make everything better as a whole, not necessarily focusing on the money aspect of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Megan, did you, so you said that you were making some granola on the side of your salads. What is that like all encompassing? What does that experience look like? Like, did you really have, I guess, the knowledge needed to start this business because you were making these granolas on the side or not really? You learned as you go. Like, can you talk about that?
All learned as I went. I was very fortunate to have my family is full of entrepreneurs. My grandfather's owned his own business for, I can't even tell you what year it came out. He just sold it, which is great. I mean, he's in his 70s. My dad's been running his own businesses for many, many years. So I kind of have like this base knowledge of, you know, this is what we need to do to have a business. But I really did not know a lot. I didn't know about customer acquisition or like having a avatar for things. Just so many aspects of a business, all the different hats that you wear, having employees. It's just a continual learning process. And yeah, it definitely didn't start that way. I started with cottage food, which was easy because it's just like you're doing it at home. You look up a few regulations, you make sure you have all the stuff right on the bag. You're not building it like it's going to be sold in 10 years. Like I wasn't thinking about it like that at all.
Is that kind of like what made it feasible for you? Is that you were taking sort of smaller steps and kind of kept going from there without, you know, thinking of, oh my gosh, I need to have the largest manufacturing, you know, company in Alaska for oats like tomorrow?
I would say it definitely, yes, my vision was not very clear when it came to how far it would be in the future, especially when it came to, I mean, I didn't even have a business plan. I can't tell you how long I didn't have a business plan. we've done a lot of learning. I think if I could go back and have this idea, like now I understand about raising money and like getting capital and how to do so many other things that we just weren't doing. We know action. Lacey and I like know action, getting things done, trying to make it prettier, playing into what people want, listening to what people want. And so the really technical sides of things like going through gBeta was huge. That was a huge knowledge on just behind the scenes of what a startup actually is, like what we actually are capable of doing. We just didn't even know. We didn't, like, in my head, I'm like, $1 million for a granola company. Like, why would we raise $1 million? So it's definitely like an eye opener to be like, wow, we can do so much. Like there are so many possibilities. Yeah.
I love how you put that. And maybe, so this is like, not comparing, but just going back to like what we talked to Jen with Zach last week. You touched on listening to your customers, right? Like being in tune, but kind of still knowing what you're supposed to do. You guys, for your Elevated Oats, do you guys have that balance between listening to the customers and, going with what you're going to do, especially when it comes to like flavors? I mean, you could be there's so many derivatives of what an oat could be, so you could be doing all kinds of things. Like how do you decide? What's your decision-making process?
Oh, it was fun in the beginning. All the flavors were really quick. There was one flavor that was the key. I came to the whole thing with a banana bread granola recipe, and that was it. One night, my dad was like, I love chocolate. You have to have a chocolate granola. So it was just like a little bit of Pinteresting, and it was like, oh, this is good. Let me try this out. And then it was delicious. And then it's like, okay, well, if this works with banana, like if we could take banana, put it into a granola, like why can't we do that with other things? So then it just kind of started playing with color. I'm pretty sure I could do this with beets. Like I think this could work. And so then we came out with cranberry cashew chew, which was called velvet beet in the beginning, but people don't like the word beet being in the title. That's something about listening to your customers, right? They were not happy with beet being in the name. So cranberry cashew chew, sales jump like crazy because now they think it, like the thought is cranberry. You're thinking cranberry. But the pink in here, like we had no clue this was going to work. It was just try it out, see what happens. And then we're like, let's do it with carrots. And so now it's like, well, what else can we do that with? We already have this base, the flavor of the quarter that we did. So we're doing this new thing this year where we have a subscription program so that we can actually test out new flavors before we bring them onto our actual lineup. And our test flavor is lemon berry muffin. And I really wanted to do lemon blueberry is just something that people really like. We have a Facebook group called Elevated Oats. We've put different flavors out there like, hey, what would you like to see? And lemon berry muffin is a thing. So we wanted to take that flavor on. We did the same thing with blueberries, just threw blueberries in there. And then to add in that color, we used a butterfly pea flower tea, which is really amazing. If you take this tea, it's like an indigo blue color. And then if you add acid to it, it turns it bright purple. It's just fascinating. I love the science behind food. Yeah. And so it turned out great. It was just amazing. It's an amazing flavor. And then we're like, okay, well, this will be the flavor of the quarter. What's our next one? And we just kind of wait and see what people like and how they think. Keep putting things on the Facebook group. We're looking at a mango habanero next. Ooh. I'd really like to do something sweet and spicy. Yeah.
I'm down for that. They're out here in Eagle River at Odd Man Rush Brewing. They have a jalapeno beer, and it's delicious. So yeah, down for the spicy. That sounds awesome.
Yes. We have a girl in our kitchen, Hungry Bear Jellies, and she makes these spicy jams, and it is great.
So
a little something different in there.
You were just looking, and that was the cranberry cashew that you were holding.
Yeah.
Can you put a little bit in your hand, just to see, to show people, like,
where do I?
It's red, right? It's red, but
it is bright.
It's beet. The coloring is actual real food. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that color.
I was actually just talking to a girl last night and I was like, yeah, that cranberry, you know, we use beets in there. And she's like, there's beets in there? And I was like, yeah, it's the second ingredient. And she's like, I didn't know that. And I was like, well,
I think
we didn't know.
Adults need to get tricked into eating their vegetables as well, just like kids. But I love it. This is the sneakiest way to eat a beet like ever. Seriously, the sneakiest.
And it's so good for like your heart. Beets are supposed to be really good for helping the blood pump and things. So it's only better for taking it out on adventures and giving you that fuel that you need.
I love that.
So you said your dad was pretty much your first customer then, right?
Oh, my dad's always been my first customer.
That's so great. That's so great. And then you took your brand and you built like Elevated Oats. Like that's just your group on Facebook, but there's a whole community that you've built around this movement, right? Like you started selling granola and now you're almost like you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling a choice, then there's a community behind you. And yes,
we're doing it. We are doing it. We're trying to do that. Exactly. So this is good. That's what you're picking up.
So like where did you pull that from? Did you like just say like, this is what I want to do? Or do you see other companies like doing that you really idolize? Like,
great question. It didn't have to do with anybody else. It was really like, so Lacey, she helped me with designing the logo. And then really when she came on and it became about this branding and spreading this message, we've only become more defined in what our mission is. And I had dealt with some mental illness stuff before coming into this. She dealt with mental illness stuff before coming into this. So we've taken these really crappy times in our lives and been like, how do we overcome those things? How do we get better? It's like all of the things that you learn, you know, mindfulness, meditation, like I wasn't necessarily doing those things. I was very into my body. I would work out, but I wasn't doing the rest of the balance. So it's come to learn that there is a balance. It's like mind, body, and soul. We can give you healthy food, but that's just part of the equation. That's not the whole thing. And I don't want to just tell you like, just work out, because that's not the answer, right? It's like so much to it, like thinking the right thoughts, having people around you that are supportive, that lift you up, not necessarily tear you down, which is where having that Facebook group is really huge. Like we wanted to create this space of like-minded individuals that realize there is an advantage in going and getting outside. There is an advantage to just sitting and doing nothing at sometimes, which is so hard for me to do, right? But bouncing off of other people to learn, because we all have ways that make us better, and it's not the same for everybody. It's not the same. It's all a practice, nonstop.
Megan, you said our message has evolved over time. Linda, do you find in other startups that you deal with that happens also? People come, like even in just gBeta, we're 3 cohorts in. You said you're starting the 3rd cohort in February. Mm-hmm. Do companies come and founders have a message, but by the end of your cohort, they're more clear on it, or it's shifted or changed?
Are you talking from like the perspective of the value proposition, from the perspective of like not your granny's granola, or like which part of the message, I guess?
From like I want to like what Megan said, like I want to do this because I want to be an entrepreneur, to I want to do this because I have a message that's valuable and I want to share it with a broader community, and I'm going to do that through oatmeal or oats.
I think it's, you know, interesting to see like how people stumble sometimes on a startup, or how they come about and they get it started and they sort of realize that I think that when you realize, and it's interesting because when you realize that you're actually solving a problem, but then you also realize that's actually what you need to be doing as a startup, but it's also like but you know, on the grand scheme of things, that also kind of helps you with your purpose. You realize that it's not just, you know, hey, the startups needs to solve a specific problem, blah, 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 blah. You know, we can like recite, you know, what Paul Graham says or whoever, but we also realize that that's part of us as people. And so I think that message then changes, you know, and so sort of And maybe you don't necessarily say, okay, well, this is my purpose, but it's like, I think what you realize is that you are on a trajectory towards it. If you're not there, and it's fine, because like, you know, we can be looking forever for a purpose, and that's part of it. Like, you don't need to be 100% I nailed it today, or I'm gonna nail it tomorrow. That's not how it is. But we're on a trajectory. And, you know, I listen to a lot of startups, and one I was listening to with Tim Ferriss, and one of these he's a neurobiologist, I can't remember, neurochemist. You know, he's saying that we actually get a lot more like dopamine and serotonin release when we know we're on the right track, instead of like, oh, I'm there. We actually get a lot more when we're like, just, oh my gosh, I feel it. Like, is that step after step after step, like small victories, small victories, small victories. And you know that you're on the right path. And then somehow, and I think along with that, when you are on the right path, things seem to work out for you as well, magically, because you are on the right path. And I think that also kicks in with the hormonal release that's beneficial to us. So I think it's all related. So yes, and a long roundabout answer to your question, the answer is yes, but I think it's related to more than just like that very artificial of what a startup should do kind of thing.
I want to say something about all of that. I loved it.
All right.
But it's so true, because I feel like I've really been able to step more into my potential and my confidence as the years have gone on, and being around others that are kind of on that same path, knowing that it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Right. That you know you're on the trajectory. You know that it's possible.
Have you heard of My Human Design? Anybody? My Human Design? Yeah.
Well, yeah. You better, Graham, since you're, you know, do agile, right?
Yeah.
It's basically like the zodiacs and astrology and all of these things put together into this chart, and it'll tell you like your purpose. And so for me, my purpose is to like literally do the things that I love and share that with people. And everybody that I've met that has done this human design like test has a different purpose, or what the theme is in their life. But man, it was very on point. I would highly recommend it. Linda, I'm going to send you the
app. I'm trying to think of, it's hard because I'm trying to listen to what you guys are saying because it's so powerful. And then I'm also trying to think about what other companies that I'm familiar with are doing this, are like visually and physically going out and meeting with their community on a regular basis, and that their community may not know it, or maybe your community does, but they're actually shaping the future of Elevated Oats. They've helped shape your message, is what it sounds like. Is that true?
Oh my gosh, I think so we started doing these hikes, yes. And the last one, none of my normal people were coming. None of my normal friends. Everybody was very busy. And I was like, well, I don't know how many people are going to show up to this. Kind of nervous about it, but whatever. And then it's in Eagle River. We'll just see how it goes. And we had a group of we had 5 people show up that I've never met before, ever. And just be like, oh, hey, is this Elevated Oats? Just looking for more people to go out with.
Yeah.
It really is. I don't even think people realize how much they affect me or us or the company. But any of those little messages, or just sharing things or showing up, it's a lot. Like, I know how busy people are in their days.
Yeah. Because other companies, I think other companies are just using like maybe data, right? They're using like screen touches and clicks and other process interactions and touch points to measure it. But like, you're actually going out there, getting out there, and having conversations and discussions that are shaping it. It's awesome.
And we actually did start that way. We started out with looking at data, often trying to see what was working and what wasn't, social media wise, and all these posts, and doing so many posts per week, and this kind of consistency. It's been a lot of marketing experimentation. But yeah, the markets, like doing trade shows, being able to physically converse with someone, or just be like, try this out, or hear our story, hear what we're trying to do. We're not just trying to sell you granola. Yes, we're not just trying to sell you granola. We are trying to get you to live this better lifestyle, or at least help you get there.
And this is an interesting kind of like I don't know, combination, I guess. So you guys are a startup, but at the same time, you guys are a lifestyle business. And a lot of times when we're thinking about a lifestyle business, we're thinking about a smaller business, right? So, but you guys function as both. And I think, so how how do you guys function as well? What are the two different things that you have to do to be a startup, like a high growth company, but also be a lifestyle company? What does that look like?
That is a great
week to week
question. Week to week. I do a lot of sharing of what we're doing, right? We're doing a lot of it's a lot of get out there, just spreading the message. But then yeah, the startup part, the rapid growth, I don't even know. That's just been happening, and I don't know what's happening. That's how I feel. I feel like I don't know what's happening. It's all just coming together. When it comes to the rapid growth, a lot of the stuff that we've had has earned traction, like really getting into the community, and meeting and networking with people and figuring out, how do we do this? Like, how do we elevate each other in this way? Like, how can I help you? How can you help me? There's plenty to go around, kind of thing. Like, we can all get each other to the next point. We can work together to get to the next point. You have knowledge that I don't have. I have knowledge that you don't have. People that I don't know. We're all like interconnected on this web. So it's kind of just trying to use that. I feel like that's been the success for us in the startup space, because we haven't received like investment. We've done pitch things. Like, I definitely apply us to, we won 2021 Veteran Startup of the Year through the Rosie Network. And I was like, we're a granola company, right? I'm like, we're a granola company. And it's just, it just keeps happening. So it's just putting out that message and seeing like what people think. Like, and people are definitely feeling it.
Yeah. So to kind of, maybe I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. You had mentioned a lot of things are happening, and so in the midst of that all, like, what maybe going back, like, how did you go from cottage granola making to building a factory, and then what is the next milestone? What is the next growth specifically oriented milestone for Elevated Oats?
Going from cottage food to factory was very fast. With starting the company in August 2019, we sold our first bag of granola like October 28th up in Fairbanks at this Go Winter Expo. And then it was like all of these holiday shows in a row. Sample this out, try it out, tell us what you think. The rules for cottage food is that you can only make $10,000 gross. And this is, I'm sure it's a safety concern. They don't want you making so much food things and then selling all those things. You have $100,000 company, or you're doing it out of your home. So that has been, that was the kick. It was like, well, we're definitely going to make more than $10,000 next year in my head. So what's the next move? It's like, okay, well, the next move is to get a space where we can get on the store at grocery stores, like get on the shelf at grocery stores. So it was like, okay, well, let's look for a space. And then this Pizza Hut just happened to pop up that was right across the street from my dad's house. And I was like, wow, this is just calling our name. And then we leased the space. We had no clue that a pizza oven was going to work for our granola to cook through. And then that only led us to scale faster, because we're like, well, if a pizza oven works, we could just get a newer pizza oven that's more efficient to improve our process. So then it's just been a continuous make everything more efficient as we grow. Like, how can we do this with less people? What's the best way to like weigh out this granola into this bag? Now we seal it. Next milestone would be increasing, like matching our capacity. Well, the next milestone is going to be a shipping situation, because we have a problem. We have a problem in this office space right now. I'll show you, but this is our inventory. And then this is where we pack pallets. And then we have to carry the pallet over the curb out there, because we don't have a situation where we could just have a pallet, like forklift it out. So our next milestone, I would say, is warehouse space or some type of situation that we can figure out more storage capacity.
These are good problems to have.
These are good problems to have.
How did you know that the pizza oven was going to work for you guys?
I didn't know that. I had no idea.
You tried before you buy it.
No, okay, so Pizza Hut left a bunch of stuff in here.
Mm.
They left this old pizza oven. My dad happened to do Spartan races with the family that used to own all the franchises here in Alaska. And so the guy that he would run with was like, I used to be the manager at that Pizza Hut. I can show you how to use that oven. And I said, I would love to know how to use, this is where the universe, right? And all the things start happening and playing out. I'm like, I would love to know how to use the oven because we don't know what the hell we're doing. And he showed us how to use it. And then like within the year, they were selling a building down in Kenai and they were like, we have these newer ovens. Do you want them? I was like, yes, I definitely would love newer pizza ovens. So we've upgraded our oven since then. We can have 4 stacked on this. We only have 2 right now, but there's definitely room to keep improving our efficiency.
So did you modify your recipe to the pizza oven then versus like the other way around? Did it just happen to work out exactly how you were already making it?
I thought about the science. I thought about the science of it. It's a convection oven, so it's blowing air on the top and air on the bottom. Mm-hmm. There are these things called fingers inside of a pizza oven. So it'll be like several different strips that come out with different holes in them. And that will control how much air is actually coming out, right? Blowing onto it. So we modified the top to where it blew less air and then more air from the bottom. I mean, it just made sense. I'm like, this is just an oven. We just have to figure out what the timing is and the temperature. And it went from doing it at home, 10 minutes in the oven, taking it out, moving it around, 10 minutes in the oven, taking it out, moving it around, maybe 10 more minutes in the oven. So 30 minutes plus. The other oven was a little bit less, but now we're running them through like 3 minutes, take it out, mix it up, 3 minutes, take it out. And that's it, just twice for all of our flavors.
That's good efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long, like for one bag, just for one, how long does it take to make one bag from start to finish, for example?
Oh, we'll make 120 bags in a day, or 120 pounds in a day. So that'll be like 3 batches, but we can do that in 4 hours. I think we have the capacity to have like, I'm not even sure, because right now we just switched to the snack packs. We have the 2 sizes. So we've been kind of learning how what people want more, how our efficiency and things are with that too.
The last bag of yours that I had it at work and I was sitting there eating it and somebody opened up the refrigerator and they had one of those little small cartons of milk. And I took that thing, poked a hole in it, doused it in milk, and I just sat there and ate it with a spoon. It was delicious.
Out of a snack pack?
Out of the big bag. Yeah, I said it's smart. Big bag. Yeah.
I've done that with on a road trip. I cut the top off and then took chia seed pudding and put that in there with the granola.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. Great snacks.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Well, Megan, if you were going to to do this again with a different business model, different company, or if you were going to tell another founder who's just starting out, you were going to give them suggestions or guidance about building a community around their brand, what would be something that you might tell them?
What do you like? Like, what do you enjoy and like? Because I don't think I could have brought all of these passions into this if it wasn't like me. I think that's like the kicker, is that I'm just doing all the things that I love to do. And I part of that is like helping others, right? Or like being better, just trying to be better.
That's fantastic.
I'm just reading the comments here because Lindy asked if there's a book or concept I learned. Actually, there is. This one book that changed my whole life in the very beginning was called Untethered Soul. And it really changed like my way of thinking, kind of separates you from having negative thought patterns. thinking that you're incapable of things, because I definitely suffered from that. And then going on to like entrepreneurship books, I would say the E-Myth. E-Myth is really great.
E-Myth is great.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then The Power of Now. Then I would
Now.
go back to the spiritual side, The Power of Now. Yeah.
I would say that's on the spiritual and on just getting shit done side as well.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
It's both. It's just really spiritual and very much so practical.
It's like, if you think about all this crap in the past, what do you think is going to be, you know, we have to use our energy in good ways.
Yeah,
for sure. And I would say too, Megan, you recently wrote about like the imposter syndrome, and it's interesting because like, you know, like, yes, we want to overcome it, but I would also maybe say that, you know, if we are pushing boundaries all the time, we are finding in ourselves in places where we've never been before, and therefore like it'll feel a little bit scary, right? And maybe we have that imposter, but I think that that's natural because we've never been there before. And I think that's okay. And as long as you realize that it's you know, there's like a kind of a distinction between fear and danger. Danger is something that's real, like, you know, this bear is about to eat me. Okay, great. Well, not so great. But then the other side is just fear could be just what, you know, whether it's the imposter syndrome, whatever it is. And I think if we just realize that it's not, it's rational, but we can overcome it. Like there's definitely tools to fight that. And I love, maybe you can talk about the piece that you wrote as well.
Yeah, that was scary. I did an article for Strive, Strive group. They're here, they're local in Alaska. And someone, I can't remember exactly who it was, someone reached out to me. I think her name was Nance. And she was like, hey, we would love for you to, would you like to do this? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But it was very hard for me. You know, I have the upcoming TED Talk also. It's very hard for me to put words on paper or like to have a plan for what I'm going to say. Like, this is like, okay, I'm just talking about the business. You know, we kind of had an idea of what we were going to talk about, but it's not like I came in with, this is exactly the message I want you to take away in this amount of time. So it's been a challenge. But then I'm like, you know, I have a master's in aeronautical science. I've written papers. I mean, I can do this. I can do this. And as I was writing it, I was like, I just have no clue what to write about. And running into that issue, I was like, well, this is what I'm going to write about. I'm going to write about having this problem writing about this, because I'm sure that people would resonate with that. And I think it's just like, how can I let you know that this is something we all go through, right? And it is scary. Like, how can we go through, just be in that discomfort and power through it.
Yep.
And realize it's going to be okay.
And realize that growth comes from discomfort.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a huge, huge way.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable. I remember, let me just say, I don't know if you were there, Graham, for that one. I don't think you were, but the very first like pitch that I had to do, like, we were doing these practice pitches and they're like, okay, we have this other pitch. And there was like 8 people in there and I cried in the beginning and I was just like, I got to pull myself together. And then I did the pitch. I haven't cried since then doing a pitch. I don't know if I will ever again, but yes, a lot of discomfort and just realizing that, yeah, there's no danger. Like, you're going to survive. Like, I will survive this.
Right.
I will survive this. Don't let my emotions control the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Hey, Linda, we've got, you said you've got the third cohort coming.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody who's on the fence right now about being ready? Am I ready to actually talk more about my business? Am I ready to do that? Am I ready to get brave, validate my idea, and actually tell somebody about it?
Man, I think that, you know, if anything, like, I would love to chat with you about it, even if you decide that the time is not right for you right now. I'm here to support entrepreneurs in general, and I chat with people who are not in the program as well, and I try to be of value to them. But, you know, if this is something that you really want to do, we can help you. And if gBeta is not right for you, then maybe you start with a different program. There are several programs, and I always try to refer entrepreneurs for wherever they are in their journey. But I feel like we are really, like coalescing on something very exciting here in Anchorage right now with so many supporters. And I don't know, like even just getting entrepreneurs together. Like I love getting all the gBeta alums together, because like I can feel that it's special. Like when I see them talking and I see them bonding, and that in itself like just gives people drive and gives people motivation. And it's exciting. It's exciting to see how somebody is walking their path. It's exciting to see how somebody is finding their purpose. And so I would say that if you want to be amongst these individuals, like come join us, and there's definitely a space for you. We'll find a good space for you. We'll link you up with somebody that can help you. And so just give me a ring. But I'm definitely excited about the gBeta program, because then I love what Megan said. It's like sometimes you join and then you realize after the fact, wow, I didn't realize all the things that we are now capable of. And I love that we had that effect. And sometimes that's the thing, right? That's what needs to happen. Maybe that is your biggest takeaway. It just gives you that power, that energy, that drives. It gives you that button that you can press. And now you can take in that capacity and intensity and go move forward. And so if we can do that for you, I would love to do that.
You're on mute still, Graham.
All right, thank you. That's fantastic. And Lacey dropped us a message, said Linda is great. If you're unsure, definitely talk to her. She's very passionate about the startup community, especially in Alaska. Linda, if somebody wants to reach out to you, where's the best place to do that?
Linda@generator.com is my email. You can also Google gBeta Anchorage, and I will send you a link that gives you kind of an overview, some value propositions. You can look at all the companies that have been through gBeta. We've had 10 so far, and you can definitely, talk to them first. Maybe that's the first step that you want to take on and see about their experience. That's always a smart thing to do.
I have a question, Linda, just curious, because I feel like when I talk to different entrepreneurs, they tend to say this, but when someone says like, I don't want to tell anybody this idea because it's a really good idea. I don't want to tell anybody because I don't want them to go and do it. What would you say to those people?
Man, there's probably kind of a couple different answers to that, but definitely, a lot of people have ideas. And something actually that Paul Graham talks about is like these markets. The startup market is an exciting market because it's so huge, right? And we all want to play in that. We all, not necessarily all, but some of us want to play in that big market. But it's a very efficient market as well, in that so many people are having the same ideas, and that is it's sort of that growth is also the constraint, right? And so lots of people have ideas, but ideas only get implemented if you are putting the work in. Even if you're unsure, you're putting the work in, and a lot of work. Like this is going to be one of the hardest things that you do. And if you share your idea, likelihood of somebody taking it is not very high, but the likelihood of you getting more momentum about wanting to do it because you are getting help, you are getting with the right people, is a lot higher. So that risk reward, so the reward is a lot higher for you sharing it. And a lot of times your idea is going to change from what it was at the beginning, because you're listening to people, because you're talking to potential customers, because you're in whether it's Upstart Alpha Accelerator or gBeta Accelerator. So like you really should get out there, get information in, and like we talked about it last time, it's sort of like a heartbeat. Open yourself up to people, close back down, boots on the ground, head down, execute. And open yourself up, and do that early and often. It's like saving in the computer. Do it early and often, man. Do it.
Megan, if somebody wants to reach out and get in contact with you and talk about business or Elevated Oats, how could they do that?
Megan at elevatedoats.com. Very easy. Or connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is always a great place for businessy type of things.
LinkedIn. Cool.
Ditto.
Yeah. LinkedIn is great.
All right, cool. Right on. So I'll try wrap this up. Lacey couldn't make it. Lacey is the other founder of Elevated Oats. Awesome designer, branding queen. If you've got a message that you want to run by somebody, run it by her. She'll help you perfect it. Your message is going to evolve over time. Like Megan, you talked about it so great. Like it started with this, and by where I'm at now has completely changed. So your message is going to evolve. Linda, I love what you said. You don't have to nail it every day. Every day, you don't have to nail it 100%. You just got to keep going and iterate and be better. Data. Yeah, data. You talked about data. Experimenting with data is good, but that good conversation just goes so far. And Elevated Oats, you guys have done that by building this community around your brand and really listening to your customers. You continually iterate on your products, probably more than anybody else, any other company I know. Like a lot of times we have an offering, we set it in place, and we work with that for a while. And you guys are continuously experimenting with new flavors, obviously with new machinery, and doing pretty innovative things by, hey, let's just use a pizza oven for our oats. That's awesome. And then I loved what you said about doing what you love. Like that's, so if you're just skipping to the end of this and catching the Cliff Notes version, then Megan said her advice to someone who was getting into this space and wanting to build a brand around, build a community around a brand. She said she would tell you to do what you love, and if you're doing what you love, other people will be passionate about that too. Man, if you have a good idea, now's the right time to talk about it. Talk about it with Linda. The third cohort of gBeta Anchorage is recruiting right now, and like Megan said, if you have an idea and you don't share it with somebody else is already thinking about it, and they might move faster than you. So now's the right time. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. This has been a fantastic call.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Thanks,
Or if you guys want to hang out, yeah. Do you guys want to say anything else? Last notes, or just say goodbye?
No, this was
a blast. Yeah, I always have a pleasure talking with both of you. So it was nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll see you guys later.